For centuries, Americans have packed up their families and moved west for a better life. The only thing is, nowadays, it's a lot easier to get rich. You don't have to come up with some revolutionary idea. You don't have to get up at the crack of dawn. Heck, you don't even have to work. You just have to exist and check a few boxes, of course.
More cities and counties in the Bay Area are starting guaranteed income programs for the most vulnerable people in their communities. The Silicon Valley Guaranteed Income Pilot Program says it'll target people of color, undocumented and mixed-status families, and women-led households. 150 families will get $1,000 a month for 2 years with no strings attached.
Welcome to the world of guaranteed income. All you have to do is be vulnerable and live in San Francisco. And when I mean vulnerable, I mean you can't be a straight white male. This week, the city's just announced it's dumping another $5 million into their program that pays pregnant black women. Pregnant white women? You're out of luck. Apparently, the hardest part was defining what a woman was. So just how much money could you receive in San Francisco if you check every box? Well, our team decided to tally it all up. There's 3 big programs handing out the cash. First, there's the Abundant Birth Project, which doles out unconditional $1,000 monthly payments to Black and Pacific Islander women for their entire pregnancy, plus 6 months after. And then there's GIPA, the Guaranteed Income Pilot for Artists. Not trans, no problem. Just grab a paintbrush. Because if you identify as an artist who was affected by the COVID pandemic, you just earned yourself another $1,000 a month. If you like to finger paint and caught the Rona, here's some money. And finally, the GIFT program, or guaranteed income for transgender people. As long as you identify as transgender, a gender outlaw, or any of the other 97 listed genders on the application, you just brought in another cool G. How do you prove you're transgender and live in San Fran? Well, you can't. You're just going to have to go on the honor system. And don't even think about lying on the application. Primetime does not endorse identity theft. The grand total, if you're a Black, transgender, pregnant, low-income artist affected by COVID, you're guaranteed $3,200 a month. Free money. You don't have to pay taxes on it, or it adds up to a little less than 40 grand a year. And that's just from San Francisco. We're not even adding up all the state and federal goodies you can get, food stamps, housing vouchers, welfare. We're estimating that you could be making over $50,000 a year living in San Francisco and being vulnerable and doing absolutely no work. And if all goes well, you're about to get a $250,000 check from Gavin Newsom if you can prove you were related to a slave. That's right, reparations are coming. So that's about $300,000 for the year. California, here we come. Clay Travis is the founder of Outkick. Clay, fire up the jet. It's time to find an apartment in San Fran.
I should move to San Francisco. I don't know what I'm doing, Jesse. I mean, you know, I love this on so many different levels, but let's start here. You know, you can identify as any gender now. Did you see, like, the Frisbee golf people are actually having to ban men who identify as women because they're dominating? But if you can identify as any gender, and this will blow everybody's mind, why can't you also identify as any race? Like, how do they know in San Francisco what my truth is, Jesse? If I want to identify as a Black woman who is pregnant, how can they prove that I'm actually a white guy who is incapable of having a child? Like, there is no truth. There is no factual basis for much of this identity politics era. So who is out there walking around, and how racist and sexist are they going to be if they try to defy my reality, Jesse? How could they dare to tell me that I'm not a pregnant Black woman when I feel like a pregnant Black woman right now, when it gets me $3,200 a month? I just want to know, how can they tell me I'm not that?
Men can get pregnant, but if any man can do
They
it,
tell us.
Clay Travis would be a great pregnant man. I can see it now. Honey, he kicked. Honey, touch my belly. I can feel him kick. So you don't think there's going to be any fraud,
for
do you, Clay?
$3,200 a month, I think there's a lot of viewers out there that say they would be a great pregnant man, too. I mean, look, you got to do what you got to do for the cash.
Do you think that they're going to deny anybody? Because if they deny one person, and I mean just one person, they run right to the San Francisco Chronicle, say that they were discriminated against, and it's all hell's going to break loose.
Well, you know what's funny? This is ridiculous, but you were told you couldn't challenge someone's binary status. And then when they stopped covering that shooting that went on out in Colorado, Jesse,
right. Yeah.
They stopped covering it, and they had all these experts coming on like MSNBC and CNN, and they were like, oh, that's not a transgender person. They were like, well, how do you know? And they were like, well, I can tell by looking. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. I thought this was all about what you felt and all about how you identified. And now suddenly they're changing the rules. Look, San Francisco Chronicle. I think if I tell them as a gay black woman, I believe, a transgender black woman, I believe this, they have to quote me as that because it would be disrespectful to my identity to question it in any way. San Francisco, also, I appreciate all that you're doing. I'll take my $40K, even though I'm living in Nashville, Tennessee, in God's country. You can go ahead and send me the $40K. I identify as a San Francisco resident as well.
You are the best-looking black lesbian I've ever interviewed. So thank you, Clay Travis, for joining us.
I appreciate it. It's hard being this sexy.